you're becoming the vacuum of your life, and stop it. I tell you guys all the time, the easiest reframe is I'm not doing that right now. That doesn't serve me right now. When we're feeling it, you can have compassion for yourself, but compassion isn't submission. Compassion is, this doesn't feel good. Before we get into today's episode, I want to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you don't want to miss any content that's being dropped, make sure you hit that notification bell as well. I also want to know, who are the people you want to hear from on this show, and what topics would you like me to continue to cover? Thank you so much for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, the podcast where we debunk the eat less, move more, shrink more mentality and connect to what actually matters, which is your body and your mind. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, a licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to show up when you do not want to. When life is getting lifey and you do not have the energy, what can you do if you are trying to lose weight, feel awesome, whatever your goals are? How do I show up when I don't want to? So as we say here, what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror, and we are going to discuss what that looks like together. Welcome back, guys. Coach Christina here, and I'm so excited to have you for this episode today. And the banter actually goes with the conversation that we're talking about today. We won't have to look at the show notes to move along. So as you guys know, the business has gone through a huge transition. And as you've been following, the past 6 months for me has been quite challenging. I have, my dad has been sick. I put down my dog. I've had struggles within relationships, obviously having this big change to the business, then having to kind of reassess what business looks like moving forward, which I touched on in the last episode. And it's been a lot. And it's been a mindset shift, because you can go down a rabbit hole of just not good stuff. And it's been a physical shift, because all of these things have created a lot of stress and emotions and things on my body. I thought about this conversation today because last week I didn't work out once. I took the entire week off. It was not planned. I just had to deal with things that were kind of fires I had to put out. Those fires just made me feel cruddy. And so you would think, well, you feel cruddy, you should work out. I was just stressed. And I'm gonna talk today about the experience and what I did and the mindset shifts. Now, usually I have a structure to my podcast where I kind of follow a outline, but today I'm not. I'm just kind of riffing, so hope you will stay with me. But, when I think about these last 6 months, I'm going to start with the mindset shift because it's so important. It's very easy. It would have been very easy for me to say, woe is me. Why is this happening to me? What did I do wrong? Kind of pleading with my higher power or myself, which I think a lot of us do when we go through shit. It's one thing after another. And I did break down to Mark, and I was like, I can't catch a break, is something that I said. And I said this about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I just felt bad for myself for that moment. And that's allowed. You're allowed to say, this sucks. This sucks. What I'm going through sucks. But what I don't want us to do is say, and then there's nothing I can do about how I feel about it. There's nothing I can do about my dad's cancer. There's nothing I can do about my dog getting old and ultimately passing away. There's nothing I can do about the changes that happen in life. But what I can do is change my perception on those things. And that is incredibly important. So when we're going through it, right, our stress is super high. And if our mindset is, this sucks, why is this happening to me? Only this would happen to me. This doesn't happen to other people. That is going to be at the forefront of our minds. That then is going to cause us to behave in a certain way. So the topic of conversation today is, how do I show up when I don't want to? The first place you need to show up is between your ears. How are we talking about the experiences that we're going through? Because again, it's a very fine line of going from I'm fine, everything's fine, to everything is not fine. Oh my God, this ship is sinking, everything's burning down, which is a mentality that I've struggled with in the past. But I love that I struggled with that then, because going actually through hard shit now, I feel so much more equipped to handling it. And so the first place that we need to show up when we don't want to is in our minds. And that ultimately is going to help us show up for our bodies. So catch the thinking, catch when we're in the Eeyore, right? The kind of sucking the life out of ourselves. You're becoming the vacuum of your life, and stop it. I tell you guys all the time, the easiest reframe is I'm not doing that right now. That doesn't serve me right now. When we're feeling it, you can have compassion for yourself, right? But compassion isn't submission. Compassion is, this doesn't feel good. You are going through a lot. And what I'm not going to allow you to do is beat yourself down or put yourself into this why me spiral, right? And so catch the thinking. You can even name it. I think of the movie Inside Out, right? And the little blue lady, she's like kind of just trucking along, sadness, right? And like I see her, you could draw a picture of it and just remind yourself, like, this is a part, right? This is a part of you trying to protect you by saying, like, look what's happening to me, and validate that this is bad. Takes our attention off of the actual feelings of feeling the bad thing, because we don't know that we have the capabilities of feeling them. It's a protective mechanism to be this kind of Eeyore/martyr situation in your mind. So we want to catch the thinking. We want to stop it in the moment. We want to reframe it. And for me, and this is high level spiritual shit I'm about to talk about, this retrospectively, I'm going to look back on this and realize why it happened, and it's going to make me laugh. That is something that I think about all the time. Now, I'm not going to laugh about my dad being sick, right? But I've already seen how this illness has brought me closer to him, and we were very close, but like keeping him top of mind when other things were top of mind. Now, if I lose my dad, obviously I'm going to be sad, and a lot of the things that I'm talking about today are not going to apply necessarily during the grief cycle. But even then, and I've talked about this before, of like my mindset around that reality is I've had a really amazing life with him, right? And, that's going to, again, why am I crying all the time? That's going to be something that'll be helpful there. However, coming back to the other things, right? And my business coach, Alenka, who's been on this podcast, said to me, she goes, look, Christina, I hate to bring this up, but Brooklyn dying was really hard on you. But if you wouldn't open that space in your home and in your heart, then you would never had Liberty. And I also think of Liberty too, because that dog got hit by a fucking car and she's the happiest girl. She is so resilient. She shouldn't have survived, and she did. Now, dogs obviously don't have that mentality, but she is resilient, and I can be too. So when we're in our mindset of, oh my gosh, all of these things are happening to me, not only do we want to stop, we want to reframe, but also think about the future. Like, I'm going to learn from this. One day I'm going to laugh at this. One day I'm going to have that aha, that was supposed to happen that way. And that's where we want to start first when we're not feeling motivated. So the next thing we want to do is come back to the body, but to help manage the nervous system. So even if it's like not these major life moments like I'm talking about, it's just you're stressed out, you're just not feeling it, right? We've got to think about why. Why am I not feeling it? Why am I not wanting to do the thing that I've been doing for a long time? Now, keep in mind, guys, like when you're just starting and you don't have confidence, that's when we feel unmotivated, when we don't have confidence in something. And if you're finding that you're kind of dreading doing the things, it's probably because the way that you set it up is not something that you're able to sustain. If you're trying to work out 6 days a week and you hadn't worked out at all, you don't have confidence in working out 1 day a week. So 6 days a week is really not realistic. That's when we start feeling dread for things. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't have motivation and I just started, what I would start with is start with 1 day a week. Build confidence, build like you are the shit at hitting 1 day a week. Then we go 2, do the same thing. Then we go 3. And maybe 3 is where you're like, I feel good at this. I can sustain this. Perfect. We love that. Who I'm talking to today is the person who does do this, has confidence, and it's just not there. I want to talk about, see, again, I don't have a script or like not a script, outline, the mental struggle around like not doing the things. Actually, I'll attach that too when we talk about movement. But okay, coming back to the body, why? Why am I not feeling it? If your brain is saying like this thing that I've been doing for a good amount of time that I love doing, I don't want to do, why? And don't compare yourself to me. Compare yourself to you. Why? Well, me and my husband have been having issues with our sex life, and that's starting to weigh on me. Or my kiddo is really struggling with school. Maybe they're just has dyslexia or something, or just learning something that's causing them struggle. Those things weigh on you. And when we come back to the body, not only do we want to listen to the mind, but pay attention to the feelings. Pay attention to, do you feel stress or tightness or irritability or heat or palpitations or whatever? I've talked about my physical response often feels like 2 hands around my neck, right? Like I'm suffocating, or I feel this kind of like flaming in my chest when I'm stressed. Another indicator of stress is really tight trap muscles, because when I'm stressed, I slightly lift them up, right? And when I recognize that those things are happening, that's my first indication that I need to manage my nervous system, that I am not in my rest and digest, my parasympathetic nervous system, and I need to get there. And I need to hijack the system and get there on my own, because I'm so chronically stressed in these little paper cut of stress, a little death by paper cut stress, if you will, that my nervous system isn't regulating. I interrupt this episode to bring this month's comment contest. This month, I am giving away a 5-product bundle for Legion Athletic products. Legion is by far my favorite supplement line, as they don't have a bunch of junk in their products. Plus, like, their protein powder is by far the best tasting on the market. All you have to do is drop a positive comment under this video, maybe a question about the topic at hand, maybe how you relate to the episode. Then you will be put in a drawing for this amazing package that I will draw a name at the end of the month and announce on the show. Now, back to the episode. Once we realize through the thoughts, right? You might even realize the thoughts by recognizing the physical feelings. Entry can be either. But once I recognize the thoughts, then the next is, okay, now that I've reframed the thoughts, I need to calm down my body. That's how you show up, right? The easiest way to do that is through breath work, having an exhale longer than an inhale. There's a lot of great breath work on YouTube that you can follow. But honestly, just a inhale through the nose, 4 seconds. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. Do that for about 30 seconds. And you'll hear me repeat this over and over again. When we're short of breath, that indicates we are in a chronic stress state, whether that's on purpose or not. When we can slow down the exhale, it helps to calm our bodies. So that's the second way to show up. Now, speaking of the body, let's go into the conversation about what to do physically. So last week, again, stressed, woke up stressed, went to sleep stressed, stress. It was not fun. I decided to not work out. It was something when I made that decision, my body almost was like, great, literally. Now, what where I'm at in my process mentally, like that's an easy decision for me. But if you talk to me 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I'd be like, well, I have to work out. Like, what happens if I don't work out? Blah, 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 blah. Right. That is going to be a struggle for you. And I'll talk about the data from this past week just to help you guys understand what happened for me. But from a mental health standpoint, I said, you know what? My cup is, I'm not even waking up on a full cup. My cup is already halfway empty, whatever you want to say, because of this stressor. So I'm just going to walk Liberty. And we went on a little longer walks. When I say a little longer, our walks are usually 2.6 to 3.5 miles. But our normal walk is 2.6 miles. It's the same route that we take. And we just ended up walking like 3.5 miles each. Actually, only like 2 days. The other days we just did the regular walk. I think I got over 10,000 steps each day, but that's the choice. That's how I showed up for myself. Why? Because that's what my body needed. Because my body was using a lot of energy trying to focus on how to manage this stress. And then there was cognitive energy of the actual, like, tangible changes that needed to happen, right? Because of that stress. So I was exhausted and I was working morning to night. Not ideal. I know that. And I want to share that and be vulnerable with you guys because I'm not walking around with these perfect boundaries. Like sometimes certain situations require me to overextend myself. That overextension is the exact reason why I was not going to work out, right? So I chose to walk. Now you could choose to walk. I could have probably done like some stretching, right? I think I did some stretching, like just in here, because because I was overextending myself and working, it was a lot of sitting, right? And my brain was like, I'm not even touching the walking pad. It's just funny how your brain works. But you could do, what I do for clients in this case is we have that kind of battery type of training. Where's your battery at? My battery's at 25%. All right, we're walking. We're walking, maybe some really gentle stretching. That is it, right? 50%, right? So you're not quite like, you've got a charge, but you're not completely there yet. You can do some mobility, a body weight workout, walk a little further, right? 75% battery. We are still not there for the more intense training, but I can do a nice, slow strength training sesh, and 100% is where I can up the intensity. So I want to talk about the data. I did not work out once. I hit anywhere from 8 to 10,000 steps, which is actually lower than normal because when I work out, obviously I get more steps in. I didn't change anything else. I didn't change my nutrition. I continued eating around my 22 to 2250, 2200 to 2250 each day, and practiced really my spiritual practice of checking in the morning, reading, writing, did that. My weight actually came down. My recovery index obviously went up on my Oura ring. There was one night I did not sleep well because of everything that was going on in my mind. But after that, I slept like I normally do, like right now it's like 7 to 7 hours and 15 minutes is like my norm. My heart rate, my resting heart rate came back down to where it was at like 58, 59. It's now back to like 51 to 53. And the weight on the scale went down. My weight went down and I didn't make any changes other than not working out, right? So I want to share that with you because, and the other thing I wanted to share is when I woke up this morning, today is Monday, after that week off, I crushed it in the gym today. I felt so good. And I started doing it like metabolic conditioning, as I had mentioned to you guys. And I've never felt better. Like I felt so good. I did 45-second sprints on the tread into like a plate crunch into box jumps. And I was crushing. You would have thought I was like 25. And it has a lot to do with taking that week off. Now, this week off is what we call a deload, right? A deload week. And for some of my clients who are like super strict, you know who I'm talking about, you know who you are. we have to force deload weeks and we have to work on the mentality around taking that deload week. For others, it just naturally happens with an illness or a vacation or something like that. For me, deloads are kind of both, just depending. We have a vacation coming up in July, so that'll be another deload, but I'll still get some workouts in. I do like working out at a hotel gym. I don't know why, like gets me off. So that is the deload. So using that kind of battery style training, as we've talked about, deciding to deload completely and just take the week off, just focus on rest and recovery, getting your sunshine. Walking is great for your nervous system. So if we're already stressed out, going on that walk, I know I've said it on here before, but walking mimics EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It is one of 5, I believe, evidence-based treatments for combat PTSD. It's something that I am not certified in, I'm trained in. I didn't finish the certification, but I'm trained in it, so I can do it. So when you're walking and if you raw dog your walk, as I say, you can listen to the sounds, and it does that bilateral stimulation of hearing a sound from one side of the ear and then the other side. And that is considered bilateral stimulation, using both hemispheres of the brain to process what's going on. It's a great way to manage stress. I know I repeat this often, but I just cannot tell you how amazing walking can be for you, especially when we're stressed. Also, if you walk a dog like I do, make sure you have a no pull leash, because that can be really stressful. Just a note. So there is how to show up when it comes to movement, how to show up when it comes to nutrition. I didn't plan shit last week. This is where your foundations come in, you guys. This is why we talk about habits and sustainability, because I just leaned on what I always did, right? I think I actually had the same breakfast every day last week to keep it simple, right? It's like, keep it simple, stupid, right? I had my Kodiak cakes with 15 grams of dark chocolate chips, 1 cup of egg whites, 30 grams of avocado, and 20 grams of cheese. That was my breakfast every day. For lunch, I didn't want to, like, this is so funny to like talk about this out loud. I love this lunch that I make, which is like ground beef or chicken with this, what is it called? It's a quinoa, but it's a specific brand that I like, and I can't think of it. Seeds of Change. Quinoa, and then these air fried vegetables. But last week I was so just like, nope, I didn't want to do the air fried vegetables. So we had made tostadas and we had refried beans. So I just did like taco bowls or a sandwich. I think I did one day. I mean, it kept it very simple. What was already made, and ate that. And then Mark makes our dinner. Snacks were snacks. So what is important of that for you to take away? I just leaned on what I already did. And again, if you're starting new, this is going to be hard for you, but figure out what's simple and easy to make, easy to prepare. I went on and talked about even using like the Costco chicken nuggets. We love those in our home. They are a staple, and they're there for times like this, right? I don't have time to make something. I can pop those in the air fryer and cut up some veggies, create a salad, and boom, I have a great salad. And the thing that took the longest is probably them to heat up in the air fryer. And during that time, I'm prepping the other stuff, maybe checking an email, whatever. Obviously, I'd like for you to actually sit down and eat during these times, but I'm a realist too. Like, I get it. Sometimes I'm on this computer and eating, right? And there's fucking food on my computer sometimes. And I'm like, oh, that's not a good look. So lean on the meals that you like. And if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, well, how can I apply this to me? I'm not quite there yet. Start with the foundation, right? Like I talked about with the exercise of adding one day and then the next day and building that confidence over time. Doing that with meals is really helpful. Like I know there are meals that breakfast tastes good. It tastes good. It fills me up. It's easy to prepare. I love it. It takes probably a bit longer than most of my meals that I share because I know a lot of you literally don't have the time, but it tastes good. The lunches taste good. And these are things that are staples in my diet. Diet meaning what I eat. And they're easy to fall back on. I know they're going to provide me the nutrients that I need. I know they're going to provide me this satiety and fullness that I need. They're going to keep my blood sugar stable. And so if you're learning, start to create meals that are both pleasurable and nourishing. If you don't know where to start there, just start a list. What are foods that are considered healthy foods that I actually like the taste of them by themselves, right? So quinoa, avocado, eggs, berries, almonds, walnuts, right? Like start that list. And then from that list, start creating meals out of that list. That's a really good place to start. So, again, I want you guys to realize that if you're dreading showing up for yourself, I want you to first ask why. What is it? What am I telling myself? What's going on inside? Where do I feel it in my body? What are the thoughts going through my mind? Because there's a reason why you're dreading not showing up for yourself, especially your health. Use the reframe technique, catch that character, that part of yourself that is trying to protect you, right? But say, I got this. I can take care of me. I have other choices that earlier me didn't allow for myself, and I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to show up. Then, of course, manage the nervous system and the body by doing your breath work, walking, meditating, of course. Those are all going to be things that are super helpful. I love butterfly tapping. For our clients listening, we have a resource in the resources tab under the self-care folder. You've got butterfly tapping and then EFT tapping. So this EFT tapping is also really helpful for managing stress. Then once we get into the actual behaviors, we are choosing the best path for us for where we're at in that moment. Again, using that battery style training is super helpful. 25, 50, 75, 100, you create that for yourself. Today was 100%. I'm going to do the metabolic conditioning, right? And we'll see what tomorrow brings. I'm already a little bit sore from the workout and it's just noon. So, and then in nutrition, lean on those foods that are easy to prepare, that you know taste good, that you can just pop in MyFitnessPal, maybe even already save them as a meal. If you're one of my clients, that's something I highly suggest for the foods that we're eating over and over again. Use those 3 dots in the lower right-hand corner of the entry of that food in MyFitnessPal, and you click on it. It says add as meal, name it, save it. That way you can just pop it in if you are tracking food. So I hope that my experience is helpful for you. I know, again, with graduation, with kids getting out of school, with Mother's Day and Memorial Day coming and trips and vacations, it can be a lot. So you can still show up for yourself through this process and let me know what you end up doing. You've got your comment contest. So what are you going to do for yourself even when we don't want to show up? Thank you again for coming with me on this journey today. If you haven't already, make sure to give me a follow wherever you listen to these podcasts, or make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. We're also looking for those 5-star rating and reviews, especially with this new normal. So I would love to see some new reviews. Other than that, I want to leave you the same way that I always do and remind you what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. Goodbye.